I invite you to remain standing for the prayer. Let us pray. Let us pray first for our country. Almighty God, who has given us this good land for our heritage, we humbly beseech you that we may always prove ourselves a people mindful of your favor and glad to do your will. Bless our land with honorable industry, sound learning, and pure manners. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from pride and arrogance, and from every evil way. Defend our liberties and fashion us into one united people. Endure with the spirit of wisdom those to whom in your name we entrust the authority of government, that there may be justice and peace at home, and that through obedience to your law, we may show forth your praise among the nations of the earth. In the time of prosperity, fill our hearts with thankfulness, and in the day of trouble, suffer not our trust in you to fail. All this we ask through Jesus Christ, our Lord. We pray for sound government. O Lord, our governor, bless the leaders of our land, that we may be a people at peace among ourselves and a blessing to other nations of the earth. To all who have executive authority and to all who have administrative authority, grant wisdom and grace in the exercise of their duties. To those who make our laws, give courage, wisdom, and foresight to provide for the needs of all our people and to fulfill our obligations in the community of nations. To the judges and officers of our courts, give understanding and integrity, that human rights may be safeguarded and justice served. And finally, teach our people to rely on your strength and to accept their responsibilities to their fellow citizens, that we may serve you faithfully in our generation and honor your holy name. For yours is the kingdom, O Lord, and you are exalted as head above all. Amen. And now we commit this conference into your hands, and we ask for your Holy Spirit to guide and direct. Amen.
You guys don't have to worry. I'm not going to ask you to stand again, but I'm going to ask you, though, to thank Reverend Dr. Sonia Hines for leading us in prayer. Prime Minister, the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, KC MP, Chairman of the Barbados Labour Party, the Most Honorable Dr. Jerome Walcott, General Secretary of the Barbados Labour Party, Dr. the Honorable Ralph E. Gonzalez, Prime Minister of St. Vincent of the Grenadines and political leader of the Unity Labour Party, executive and members of the National Council awardees, honorable members of Parliament, members of the Senate, High Commissioner Glenn Clark, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, comrades, good evening. And it is a distinct honor, ladies and gentlemen, to be your host for this, the first day and award ceremony of this great party, the Barbados Labour Party, celebrating its 83rd annual General Conference and awarding. My name is Jamar Brown, and the theme of this year's conference is Riding Rough Waves with Resilience, Taking Fresh Guard. At this time, I would like to invite to the stage Mr. Christopher Gibbs, MP and Chair of the Conference Arrangements Committee, to provide us with welcome remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Comrade Gibbs.
Thank you, Jamar. Protocol having been established, I want to get to this part very quickly. Comrades, we outside. Welcome to the Barbados Labour Party 83rd Annual Conference. Now this occasion holds very special significance for me. You see, 3 years ago, pre-COVID, I was confirmed as the candidate for St. Michael West for the Barbados Labour Party in 2019. And now, 3 years later, people, can you believe it? 3 years later, we've been through so much. 3 years later, I am now the Member of Parliament for the constituency of St. Michael West. It feels good, huh? And listen, seeing all y'all here, it really warms the heart. And you know, over the weekend, when we were at Dover, when we saw the people congregating and the unity and the togetherness, and it, you know, back in 2019, when I saw y'all and I saw the unity of this party, I knew that I was on the right path. And then it was further cemented when I was at Dover, honestly. And these have been hard times, you know, rough waves, as the team says, and as the Prime Minister said yesterday. If you're in the air, it will be turbulence. But we ain't gonna panic, right? Because what does unity do? What does togetherness do? It helps us to take us through these tough times. No, COVID wasn't easy. It was hard. You know, people lost their employment. People lost their social connections. Our children, you know, suffered. And we also lost loved ones. And that was the hardest part. But if you see this thing called unity, it will get us through this time. So we were robbed of so much, but we will make it. We will make it together Because you know what unity does? It reestablishes our connections with each other. Whether it's in a party, whether it's in a family, whether in a community, whether in the region, we stick together and we will get through this time. And as the theme suggests, resilience. We are resilient people. And comrades, that was handed down from our ancestors. The indignity and the horrors of slavery, we must never forget. And we ourselves have been through COVID. It's not over yet. Now we got to go through the Russia-Ukraine war and inflation and the pressures that we have on our finances. It's hard. They're rough waves. But we will be guided by our ancestors. They will show us the way. And as a new republic, as we cease to loiter on the colonial premises, and as we chart our course through history, through the future, right? And we do it, we don't panic, we do it together. The waves are rough, but we will find our way. So comrades, I'm excited about tonight because we have 57 awardees to recognize. Give them a round of applause. We recognize each other, but we also recognize excellence in the community, whether it be youth, sports, or culture. So do enjoy this evening, and thank you, and God bless.
Another round of applause for our conference chair, Comrade Gibbs. At this time, to provide the introduction of the distinguished guest speaker, I would like to invite Comrade the Honorable Kerry Simmons, MP, to introduce our distinguished guest speaker.
A pleasant good evening to all of you. We can do better than that. A pleasant good evening to all of you. I want to start by saying to you that when I was 11 years old, in the first form of the secondary school that I attended, I was compelled to do a class that I absolutely detested. It was called public speaking. I hated every aspect of the experience. There was a master, we called them masters then, teacher, by the name, he's now of blessed memory, by the name of Gordon O. Bell. And he said to me, "Young Simmons, you need to understand that one day you will be forced or called upon to introduce a very important person. And there is a distinction that has to be drawn when you're introducing important people. A person who is important by virtue of being popular and well-liked has to be introduced in a different way to a person who is important because of the fact that he is well established and expert and well accomplished. And the two must never meet. And at 11 years old, I nodded and I imbibed, and I've carried that information with me, clasped to my breast for over 40 years since. And now tonight, for my sins, I finally have an opportunity to introduce an important person. But it turns out that the information given to me by Mr. Bell is utterly useless because he is important, because he is popular, and also because he is substantially accomplished. So the alternative left to me, ladies and gentlemen, would at first blush have been simply to say, well, the speaker really needs no introduction. But every aspect of this gentleman's life cries out, I want to submit for introduction. It cries out for inspection by this party. And if I could sum up his life in one phrase, it would be that he has demonstrated the courage of his convictions. And I think that I want to commend that phrase, courage of your convictions, to this political party at this time. And I do so because there are far too many around the world who have chosen the path of least resistance while in leadership positions around the world. There are far too many who have forgotten the words of Dr. Martin Luther King when he says that the measure of a man is not where he stands in his moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and adversity. And courage of conviction is what our guest speaker has demonstrated at all times. You may ask me, well, give an example of the courage of conviction. I would first of all go to the teenage years when I was reading the newspapers and avariciously imbibing all that would have been written by an audacious and very intellectual, and I thought quite brash, young university lecturer who was given the then leader of the country, and I suspect, just for transparency purposes, I should remind you, then leader of this party, a lot of trouble. And perhaps he was too brash, perhaps he was too direct. I am told by those who were close to him that he may have applied a little bit too much pressure on certain fronts of key interest to the then leader of the land. But for all that he did, he was rewarded by the dubious, in my view at the time, dubious return of having his work, his permission to work and remain here revoked. And there is, I believe, in all of us, a sense of understanding that confronted with those circumstances, many people would wilt. Many people will feel that this is the beginning of the end. Not so for Comrade Ralph. Not so for Uncle Ralph, as he's affectionately known. It seemed to buoy him. It seemed to fortify him. Quite frankly, there are those who believe that it seemed to catapult him into starting a political career of his own. And I think that all of us in Barbados feel now a certain sense of vindication on his behalf, that he who was once commanded by the Royal Barbados Police Force to leave Barbados has returned as an installed Prime Minister and was saluted by officers of the same Royal Barbados Police Force on his return to Barbados. Courage of his conviction. And there are obviously many, many, many ways in which this was demonstrated through his remarkable political career and his leadership exploits, both at home, in this region, and internationally. And it would be most inappropriate for me to try to go into too many of them here tonight. But I want to leave one with you because it stands out in my mind as part of the demonstration of courage, of conviction in times of adversity. And it turns on the story that is told about Argyle International Airport in St. Vincent and the hospital being built in St. Vincent and the use of Cuban labor on that little island. And the fact that Cuban labor of specialist skill was deployed in St. Vincent incurred the wrath of persons in the United States Senate. Powerful United States senators like Senator Ted Cruz, Senator Marco Rubio, Senator Tim Scott, all of whom, a triad, all of whom have demonstrated their interest to occupy the seat of the presidency. And they united, they came together, they created a piece of legislation which was designed to punish any states that utilize Cuban labor. The legislation was designed to punish any state that utilize Cuban medical brigades. Imagine, if you will, the difficulty of being a prime minister in a tiny island nestled in the Lesser Antilles that is only about 30 kilometers long, with no resources of substance to call its own. But you have the power of the United States Senate being rallied against you by legislation on the floor of the Congress. For many leaders around the world, it would be time to retreat. Not so for Ralph Gonsalves. Not so for Prime Minister Gonsalves. And I say again, it is a study of courage in conviction. And so therefore, I believe, quite frankly, that I could say, it is part of that courage of conviction that caused him to be successful when he went to the polls for the first time in 1994. It was in that same year that I'm sure his courage of conviction caused him to be elected as the deputy leader of his party. And within 4 years, he became the leader of the Unity Labour Party. And in every successive election since that time, five elections, he has come away successful and victorious. Ladies and gentlemen, the study of his life has been a courage of his conviction and a conviction of a love for labor. And his gift to politics in this region has been a labor of love. I want you to stand and welcome to this podium the father now of the West Indian civilization, the elder statesman, Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves.
Comrade Chairman, Comrade Sister Mia, comrades and friends of the Barbados Labour Party, warriors of labor. I want first of all to thank Mia for this kind and I was going to say fraternal because that's easy off the tongue. But this sisterly invitation. And I'm very happy to be here this evening. I know we have a long program, and some of you would have gathered here a little earlier, and you may be saying, I wonder if Ralph is going to deliver one of those speeches like Fidel and Chavez and have us till 4 in the morning. Fear not. "28 years ago, on October the 16th, a young woman in the Parliament of Barbados, Mia Amor Motley, accepted my invitation to attend the inaugural convention of the Unity Labour Party 28 years ago. She was a young godmother to the ULP, a godmother nevertheless, and she has been a good godmother. I know that because of the changing scenes of life, the vicissitudes in our life and living, that from time to time, over the period since I have been a political activist, which this year is 54 years. It has been my life. How I have come to endure that long period. What initiated it, I know not. Those who write these things may sometime in the future try to figure out. 54 years is not 54 weeks. And during that time, there have been ups and downs. But always, that any time, as a man of labor, that I have had a setback, it was always my determination to turn that setback into an advance. Indeed, that is the history of the labor movement in our Caribbean and elsewhere. The Barbados Labour Party and the Unity Labour Party, apart from me being a young godmother, the founding of the Unity Labour Party, the genesis of this great party, the Unity Labour Party, and we have been in existence for 28 years, and we have been in government for almost 22 of those years, and it has been my honor to have been the Prime Minister for that entire period. But the components of our great party were principally the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Labour Party and the Movement for National Unity. And the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Labour Party, since the days of Grantley Adams, our party and the Barbados Labour Party have been very close. Indeed, there were very close relations, strong relations between Comrade Grantley and the Cato family. Dr. Arnott Cato, who became President of the Senate under the leadership of my friend and comrade Tom Adams. And Arnott Cato was the brother of Robert Milton Cato, who was the founder of the Labour Party and the first Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Labour Party and the Barbados Labour Party were part and parcel of the West Indies Federal Labour Party during the time of the West Indian Federation. It doesn't matter how you twist it, how you toss it, how you spin it. Labour in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and Labour in Barbados, they have made extraordinary contributions to the development of their respective countries and to our Caribbean civilization. Some leaders of the party, of each of the parties, have done more than others, but over the full extent of the history that each of these parties, and also the West Indies Federal Labour Party, they have been devoted to uplifting the common man, to improving the condition of the poor and the working people, and to build democratic institutions in a way, in a manner that our respective countries are being seen as very successful stories in a world of great turmoil. And the record of Grantley and of Tom, and Tom did a lot of great work for the people of Barbados. The fact that he was responsible for creating some temporary difficulties for me, that's no reason for me to be any other than generous to a great man who made a significant contribution. And I'm very glad that I am in the land of the living to say that. Now, when we have gatherings of this kind, we are required, as the theme says, and at particular moments to take a fresh guard. In our cricketing culture, among the reasons why you take a fresh guard is that you go to the wicket with a particular view of the wicket, but when you are there, it's a different wicket. You might think it only taking some bunks and you play out the morning session, but you find not only is the pace hot, first day, second day, and so forth, and even from the first day, the ball is turning viciously. And when you are going batting, you have to take an appropriate guard. And as circumstances change, you have to adapt to these circumstances. Men and women make history, but only to the extent that the circumstances of history permit them so to make. And those circumstances are those which you have inherited from the past, those which have come to life while you're at the wicket, so to speak. And importantly, part of the circumstances which you meet and which are sustained and endured include accumulated ideas and beliefs from the past which weigh upon the brain of the living like a nightmare. And the purpose of the party and of leadership is to assess those extant circumstances with all the possibilities and limitations and strengths and weaknesses, and as far as is humanly practicable, to go beyond the frontiers or the boundaries of what would normally be considered possible. And I believe that everyone will agree, certainly the electorate of Barbados on the last occasion agreed, that Mayor Motley and the Barbados Labour Party have pushed the boundaries of possibilities for their country beyond that which the circumstances would normally suggest. I know that in every political party, there are individuals who do not agree with everything. But I always, at moments like this, give caution to those who may be irresponsible in breaching the unity of the party by saying one simple practical thing. If you think government is difficult, try opposition. Often that is forgotten. Which leads me to address what I consider to be 7 unities. 7, I'm a scientific person, but I always like using 7s because both the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament tell me that 7 is a perfect number. What are these 7 unities? And the awardees, I'm sure, will bear them in mind. The first is unity of vision. And I will return to each, but I want to state them in summary terms so that we would begin to understand them and have them etched in our consciousness. Always remember, as I tell you, if you think government is challenging, if government is difficult, try opposition. I was in opposition from 1968 to 2001. And I could tell you, government much better than opposition. And if you don't believe that, you shouldn't be part of a serious party. Unity of vision. Unity of philosophy. Unity of policies and programs. Unity of our Caribbean civilization and in global solidarity. Unity of organization. Unity of and with the leadership of the party. And unity of the people in communion with Almighty God. 7 basic unities. And they stem from the very fundamental meaning of the word party. When you are in a party, you are part of something as distinct from something else. You can't say that you're inside of the Barbados Labour Party and you got one foot here and you want to have another foot somewhere else. That is either right-wing opportunism or, in the case of some, left-wing socialism of an extreme kind, which Lenin himself told us was an infantile disorder. If you are part of the party, you have to stay with the vision, which is people-centered. If you're part of the party, you have to be someone steeped in social democracy. That's the philosophy of the Barbados Labour Party. And depends on the circumstances. That social democracy may well be of a more advanced kind, or it may be less so, as the circumstances admit, but always nationalist and always anti-imperialist and strongly in favor of non-intervention and non-interference in your internal affairs. That's why Barrow was correct. Friends of all and satellites of none. And then you have to devise, within the framework of the vision and the philosophy, practical programs based on certain broad-based policies. And in the real world, there is never enough money to do everything that you want to do. Because very often, your aspirations may be ahead of your capacity. I, for instance, I have the aspiration, indeed I have the freedom to embark on the quest to run the 100 meters in 9.58 seconds like Usain Bolt. But I don't have the capacity. Neither now or any time before. And I'm unlikely ever to attain that. And then you may fashion policies and programs, and you have to decide how you're going to sequence them. And there may be disagreement as to which one should take priority and how you do the sequencing. But that discussion, having taken place inside of the party, and it is agreed upon, it is entirely counterproductive for anybody at whatever level inside of the party to be in the public criticizing the priorities and the sequencing of them. Because when you do that, you think that you're on your own. But the reason why you have a voice is because of the party, and there's something called solidarity. And you're talking to a man who has come and who still is and still am, in a revolutionary frame of mind. But I have to take the world as I find it. And what is important when we take the world as we find it? That each of us must come for something. We must not allow ourselves to be nothing. Because if you don't make efforts yourself to come for something and to avoid being nothing, if you don't take account of yourself to do something, you basically don't have any proper place, either inside of the party and the world, because you're just existing. But everybody has an important role to play. But you can't play it on the basis of atomized individualism. You have to do it within the context of social solidarity. And then, we are all one Caribbean. We have a shared experience, and what we have to do is to ensure that that shared experience becomes manifest as a conscious expression. And the various forms of that expression of consciousness and a constructive building, we can argue about this or that in that particular area. But we must go in quest of transforming that shared experience into conscious expression. And we have to build alliances externally. Just as Barrow said, and the formulation that I use, friends of all, we strive for a better world. Now I know what's going through your mind. How do you have such close relations, Ralph, with Cuba and Venezuela? Or Nicaragua? Or any other set of countries which the United States of America don't want me to have relations with? First of all, my situation and Barbados' situation is different from the United States. Let's take Cuba, for example. The reason why you have this absurd policy by the United States against Cuba has nothing to do with freedom or democracy or human rights or any of those things. Because when the United States talks to me about that, I said, don't bring that hypocritical talk to me. And I could point to many instances of hypocrisy. Don't come to me with that. I say, I am not allowing the foreign policy of St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be determined by presidential politics, senatorial politics, congressional politics, or governor politics of South Florida. Florida is a very important state for presidential elections. After California, New York, and Texas is Florida. George Bush Jr. won the presidency at the Supreme Court because of an interpretation of pregnant chads and hanging chads in Florida. And it is because in South Florida you have such a large concentration of Cubans, added now by some Venezuelans. If that population, which is so concentrated, which makes a big difference in Florida, if those persons were spread across the whole of the United States, so they would have no heavy influence in one big area, you never would have had this problem between Cuba and the United States. It comes from politics. So I'm not allowing American presidential politics or senatorial politics to determine the foreign policy of St. Vincent. So I tell the Americans, well, on that one, we have to agree to disagree. And we work on other things. Because at the end of the day, we are competitive democracies with strong institutions grounded in the freedom and dignity of man and woman. And there can be no question about those. And we score very highly in these respects globally by all objective observers. In fact, I'll tell you this. Inside of the very State Department, you have a lot of people who don't agree with what America is doing. They might come out and say something against Ralph tomorrow that is not so. But that is all right. I don't mind that. Indeed, I don't mind the criticisms at all. Properly speaking, I will tell you, over the 54 years of my political activism, I have benefited greatly from criticisms. And you can take that, the meaning of that, however you want to take it. So, once you are clear as to what you are about, and you have, it's not just simply a question of a conviction, it is that you have analyzed the problem very carefully, and you have come to a sober conclusion, and you can defend it. Two roads diverge in the woods, and I shall be saying it ages and ages hence. I have taken the road less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Our Caribbean civilization is being tested right at the moment in Haiti, and is a matter under which we have a lot of current discussions. CARICOM has met twice in 7 days on Haiti, 3 times, sorry, and we have met on one occasion with the Prime Minister of Canada. And when we are considering providing supports for Haiti, it's for the Haitian people, not for the Haitian government. Because the Haitian government has to justify its legitimacy. And that Haitian government, which came to office by the word-of-mouth presentation of the assassinated president. Matters were not consummated. And that word-of-mouth has already expired because that term should have come to an end since February, several months ago. So there has to be a conversation between the government and the various forces, social forces in Haiti, NGOs and the like. Otherwise, what you will have is that there is support being given to a government which itself is not legitimate in the current situation. But people are suffering. There are real problems. It's a complicated issue. And that requires astute leadership It requires fine judgment in order to arrive at, in the circumstances, what is the best possible answer. Not a perfect answer. Because what I promised the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and what I promised the people of Barbados is not perfect governance. It's good governance. I will only reach the condition, the place of good governance when I am transported to Beulah land. When I'm taken up by angels and music welcomes me into heaven, that is when I'm going to have perfect governance. In the meanwhile, I do the business of good governance. And then, leadership. Unity of leadership. I want to begin with a general proposition, because often, once you have somebody who is ensconced as leader, and they're very strong, it doesn't matter. There are always people down the line thinking that they may be the next person. But as a good Roman Catholic, not necessarily a successfully practicing one, we have two sayings in the church. At least I distill two sayings from the church in relation to leadership. Once you sing in the choir, you can be pope. So the papacy is not out of the reach of anybody who is inside of the Unity Labour Party or the Barbados Labour Party. But the ambition implicit in that proposition is restrained by a beautiful hymn which says, "The good Lord shows his face on he or she who waits his or her turn." And we have to have unity with leadership. Man who used to preach that very much is His Grace the Archbishop Granville Williams. You know the song he used to sing? Mount Zion Hill. Mount Zion Hill, Mount Zion Hill, Mount Zion Hill, that is the holy hill. I'll follow the comrade footsteps anywhere she go. I follow the comrade footstep anywhere she goes. Now, that Sankey speaks to the question of unity in leadership, and you have the discussions internally. And you can have your criticism and self-criticism inside. But when you come out, you're part of something, and you line up. And then, of course, unity of the people in communion with Almighty God. There are some people in the party who may not believe in God. The fact of the matter, though, is that overwhelmingly most people do. And the party accepts, just like mine, that we reaffirm daily that our nation is founded on the belief in the supremacy of God and the freedom and dignity of man and woman. Otherwise, we wouldn't have Dr. Hines opening us with prayer tonight, and we all believe that. At least overwhelmingly we believe that. And that is part of our Judeo-Christian civilization. Now, we have gone through 2.5 difficult years. COVID. We are in 2022, but people forget that in 2020, other than Guyana, which has newfound oil wealth, every other Caribbean country had negative economic growth. The lowest was St. Vincent and Grenadines, 5.3%. St. Lucia was about 25%. Barbados was somewhere in the early double digits, 10, 11, 14. There's a big hole. We were here minding our business. And the next thing we know, in March, COVID came to us from Wuhan. And we had to deal with the problem. There are some people today who have amnesia about that, you know. When you're 14% in the hole, you have to climb out of that, you know. It's going to take Barbados a good 3 years before it reaches back to the level of the GDP of 2019. That's part of the reality which we face. But you have some commentators who just ignore all of this. It's because it has receded, they forget what the damage it has done. And in the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, in April 2021, I had 32 volcanic eruptions. And you suffered here too. Then, on the 2nd of July, I had a Hurricane Elsa last year. And later in the year, small drought. And on February the 24th, as a consequence of the war in Ukraine, rising prices, dislocations all over the world. And all of this was on top of problems which you had on the fiscal side in this country, prompting me to go to the IMF. They call the IMF the banking institution of last resort. They call it this for nothing, you know, it's not first resort. If she could have gone somewhere else, she'd have gone somewhere else. Men and women make history, but only to the extent of that the circumstances of history permit them so to make. And those circumstances are what you inherit and what have come upon you. But what a leader has to do with his or her people is to extend as far as is practicable the boundaries of the possibilities which the circumstances permit you. Otherwise, you're in the sky. Your feet are not grounded. And ordinary people understand this. What you do have, amidst all these difficulties, there are complaints galore. There has grown up a complaining industry. And everybody, however uninitiated they may be, once they have a laptop or a cell phone, an iPhone, their complaints are magnified globally. But it doesn't matter how many times a wrong complaint is made. It isn't made right by repetition. If it is wrong, and if it is a lie, it doesn't matter how many times it's repeated. And that is part of the purpose of the party, to correct those lies and to correct those misrepresentations. You can't sit down and just leave it to the elected representatives. And I'll tell you this, certainly in the case of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have, I call them the internet crazies. And there are a lot of them, including many who overseas. They want to be transformed from an internet crazy to your excellency. It's a lot of personal ambition. The number of them who want to be consul general, an ambassador at the United Nations, they're lining up at the trough. They would know in their heart that Ralph is doing well, that Mia is doing well. But that is not the business of the internet crazies. They have an ambition. Well, I don't know. They get so disappointed because there's so many of them who want the same set of job that they'll be fighting one another for them. And that's why I said to you at the beginning, if you think government is a problem, try opposition. I want that to resonate in your head, you know. And you know the developmental path on which you are. So we are in this situation. We have to build back better and stronger. You can look up this word on your cell phone. Respire, R-E-S-P-I-R. I just published a book, Johnny, called A Time of Respire. Beyond COVID, volcanic eruptions, Hurricane Elsa, and global turmoil. Fresh hope for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Respire means fresh hope. It has been in disuse since the 16th century, this word. But it's a beautiful word. Fresh hope after period of extreme convulsions and dislocations, or even despair. But you cannot lose hope. And the hope is greater than in normal times. It has to be, because of the challenges which we are facing. And that hope is conjoined with faith. But faith has to be made manifest in works. Without works, the faith is dead. And that is linked inevitably with love. Love for one another. Love for your party. Love for your country. And love is an ever-fixed mark that looks on tempests and is never shaken. The Barbados Labour Party doesn't have any apology to make for winning 30 seats back to back. You don't have any apology to make for that? That's the verdict of the people. And Barbados is a country "250 years close to that removed from slavery. And They are in the very high level of Human Development Index by the United Nations Development Program. I wrote, and I'm sure many of you would have read it, something called The Idea of Barbados. It's an essay in 2014 which I wrote personally for my friend Frondel. Yes, Frondel is my friend. And I wrote also a letter to my dear Mia. Frondel is my friend. And this young lady is my dear Mia. And I want to read one thing. I see a very popular figure has come in. In writing about the idea of Barbados, I said I make bold to say that other CARICOM member states aspire to be in an idea, because Barbados is not only a country, it's an idea. But none has quite achieved that status. Jamaica is a brand, but not an idea. Rastafarianism, Bob Marley, Usain Bolt, and sandals have helped to shape the Jamaican brand, a marketing tool to attract visitors. But it is not a transcendental idea which infuses the body politic and society to consolidate progressive achievements nationally. Trinidad is an incomplete national formation with immense possibilities, but constrained by a bundle of limitations, including rising lawlessness. Guyana's natural condition is still untamed, but a nation which possesses enormous potential. The member states of the OECS, in one way or another, consciously or unconsciously aspire to the Barbados model of a maturing social democracy. Successful British colonies, such as Bermuda and the British Virgin Islands, are in many ways artificial societies. The French overseas territories of Martinique and Guadeloupe are subsidized enclaves in the region in search of a Caribbean identity. Puerto Rico is a Caribbean outpost of the American empire, a confused and inchoate territory with an ill-defined future. But Barbados is an idea. And it is an idea which is difficult to put your hand on completely. And I try to find this. Don't sell yourself short. You are not better than anybody, and nobody is better than you. You have a great future within the context of your own achievements, with your vision, your philosophy, your policies and programs, the unity of your organization, unity with the leadership, a communion with the people, and Almighty God. And that national thrust within the context of our Caribbean civilization and our global solidarity. You and other Caribbean countries, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, will respond in this profoundly existential manner. We may do it in some different ways. And you gather tonight for your award ceremony. You gather also to commemorate and to celebrate. There are persons who will come to you and preach political purity to you. Keep your Bajan common sense grounded in you. Purity? Have you ever had pure water? Water composed only of hydrogen and oxygen. Without in the practical world, the bird's small excrement. Huh? Or you can go in the laboratory and get pure water. You have the purity of priests who beat their chests and say, I'm pure, 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 pure. In short, the purity of those who are so pure that they do not know the real world of impurity. We are on the right track. I'm happy to be here with you tonight to celebrate. Know that I love you very much. And though my years are coming to a close, I still have a lot of juice left in me. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
You may be seated, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I would like to invite to make a presentation of a token of appreciation to our guest speaker by Comrade the Honorable Kay McConney MP. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Comrade McConney as she makes a very special presentation to our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonzalez.
On behalf of the Barbados Labour Party, our chairperson, the entire executive, and all of your comrades here, I wish to give you this token of appreciation. It is a piece of Barbados, made of something that is natural and spectacular and enduring, just like you. We want to thank you. Yes.
It's good to hear that I'm enduring. I hope Eloise is listening.
Yes. Well, thank you very much. We want to thank you for the stories of connection through labor that binds the Unity Labour Party to the Barbados Labour Party. We want to thank you for the 7 unities that you shared with us that allow us to keep politics human. We want to thank you for showing us how leadership at this time is about pushing the boundaries of possibility. And we want to thank you that as we take fresh guard, we do so with respect. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please another round of applause for our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. the Honorable Ralph E. Gonzalez. We're going to be moving into the presentation of awards. And Dr. Gonzalez, I'm hoping to hear your voice on that radio program, Mason and Guests, on Tuesday, because after your 22 years as a leader of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and me being an ardent fan of cricket as well, I look forward to hearing how we're going to be taking Fresh Guard moving forward. That's a whole nother discussion. I will now invite the first vice chair of the party, once again, Comrade the Honorable Kay McConney, and she's going to be presenting the first 10 awards. And I think I'm going to be inviting you
Worker
to our
who never
screen.
backs down from a
Everyone
challenge.
as Linda
A party member
joined
since
the Barbados Labour
2001,
Party in
she has served City of
2001
Bridgetown
with
as
William
Vice
Miller
President,
as the
President,
Member of
and
Parliament for
Treasurer,
the City of
and is
Bridgetown.
currently NEC
She
Rep.
held the position
Please
of
put your
Secretary
hands
of the
together for
Executive Branch,
Lucy Joseph.
and at present she is the Assistant Secretary Treasurer. Philippa is fearless when it comes to canvassing and making sure that Box BB St.
Michael Central. Trinisha
Comrade
Farrell.
Ori Whittaker.
Comrade Trinisha has been a
Ori
member of the
Whittaker has been a
executive of
member
St.
of
Michael
the
Central
Barbados
since
Labour Party for
2015,
over
and she is
50
currently
years.
constituency
A very
assistant
humble
to
person
Comrade Arthur
who
Holder,
attends all
MP
of
for
St.
St.
Michael
Michael Central
Central's
and
meetings,
Speaker of the
and
House
is
of
very
Assembly.
active
Trinisha
during
has...
the
All right. Well, I'm going to assist here. We just had Comrade Philippa Joseph Ben from the City of Bridgetown. We're moving on now to St. Michael Central. Comrade Ori Whittaker, I believe. Is that correct? Not here. All right. Moving on to St. Michael East, and we have Comrade Keisha Hall. St. Michael North, Comrade Sandra Aline. St. Michael Northeast, Comrade Diana Yvette Drakes. St. Michael Northwest, Comrade Mark Clark. St. Michael South, Comrade Mark Boxill. St. Michael South Central, Comrade Hester Worrell. Comrade McConney is going to make her way down to Hester. Congratulations. St. Michael Southeast, Comrade Ruth Ann Hunt. St. Michael West, Comrade Kathy Brathwaite. And thank you so much, Comrade Mukoni. I would now like to invite the second Vice Chair, Comrade the Honorable Dwight Sutherland, MP, to make our next set of awards. We go to the constituency of St. Michael West Central, Comrade Mary Walker. Christchurch East, Comrade Makiba Henry. Christchurch East Central, Comrade Peter Eswick. Christchurch South, Comrade Barbara Cox. Christchurch West, Comrade Verna Jones. Not here. Okay. Someone is coming for Christchurch West. I see someone. Christchurch West Central, Comrade Matthew Gittins. St. Philip North, Comrade Selwyn O'Neill Reefer. St. Philip West, Comrade Joan Atherley. St. Philip South, Comrade Carlisle Greenwich. And from St. George North, Comrade Celestine Crookendale. Thank you so much, Second Vice Chair. And I would like to invite our third Vice Chair, Comrade Cynthia Ford, MP, to make our next set of presentations. St. George South, Comrade Avian Clark. St. Joseph, Comrade Peggy Hoyt. St. John, Comrade Joanne Wiggins. St. Thomas, Comrade Lorena Paris Lord. St. James Central, Comrade Eric Harris. St. James North, Comrade Limbrook Cumberbatch. It's not here. Okay, moving on to St. James South, Comrade Goldie Innes. St. Andrew, Comrade Lisa Marshall. St. Lucie, Comrade Danny S.A. Bab. And St. Peter, Comrade Juliet Hall. Thank you so much, third Vice Chair, Comrade Cynthia Ford. I will now invite our third Vice Chair, Chairman candidate, Comrade Marsha Cattle, MP, to make our next presentation. This presentation is for the League of Young Socialists, and the award tonight goes to Comrade Seymour Doyle. Thank you so much, third Vice Chair candidate, Comrade Marsha Cattle. I would also like to invite another third Vice Chair candidate, Comrade Kurt Haynes, to make our next presentation. This presentation is for the Women's League, and the award tonight goes to Comrade Rosemary Leon. Thank you so much, Comrade Kirk Haynes. And now I'd like to invite second Vice Chairman candidate, Comrade the Honorable Kirk Humphrey, MP. And he's going to be presenting the award for the New York branch. The award for the New York branch goes to Comrade Gregory Stevenson. Thank you so much, Comrade Humphrey. I will now invite Senator Lorenzo Herwood to present the award for the UK branch. That award tonight goes to Comrade Kenneth Small. And it's being received by Janelle. Thank you for that information. Smile into the lens of the camera. Thank you so much, Senator Herwood. Now invite Comrade Cynthia Ford MP to present the special award. And that special award tonight goes to Comrade Alan Whitaker, JP. I'd like to invite Catherine Harper to receive this special award for Comrade Whitaker. And I see Catherine making her way up. Congratulations and thank you so much, MP Ford. Let's invite Conference Arrangements Committee Chair, Mr. Christopher Gibbs, MP, to present the Conference Special Recognition Award. And that award tonight goes to Comrade Natasha Glasgow. Thank you so much, Conference Chair. Let's invite the President of the League of Young Socialists, Comrade Roshana Trim, to present the David Simmons Award. And that award tonight goes to Comrade Ainsley Johnson. Thank you so much, President Trim. I now invite the Chief Executive Officer of the party, Comrade Patricia Innes, to present Patricia Paris. And I'm reading the script here. I have no idea why I said Innes. Something here, sorry. So Patricia Paris, Pat, I humbly apologize to you. And she is going to be presenting the Chesil Rock Award. That award tonight goes to Comrade Pauline Yvonne Ross. Thank you so much, CEO Paris. Let's welcome Comrade Romel Springer, MP, to present the Ermy Bourne Award.
Ermy Bourne Award, Comrade Sonia King. The Ermy Bourne Award honors the life and contribution of the late Dame Edna Ermytrude Bourne, the first female parliamentarian to represent St. Andrew, a strong woman of her time, a leader, and strong community practitioner. Sonia King is a product of St. Andrew and a Commonwealth Old Scholar. She has a double major in economics and management from the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus. Along with her background in information communication and technology, she continued her educational development by completing a master's in e-governance for developing states. She has worked with many community and social work ventures and is adept in project management both in her volunteer and professional spheres. Her leadership and administration acumen has been enhanced by these qualities. Sonia King played a major role in the early success of the St. Andrew branch and contributed significantly to the success of the St. Andrew Award ceremonies. That experience helped to prepare her for her future role as a long-standing contributor to the Ermi Bourne Foundation. She has also participated in the Ermi Bourne Lecture at the Allen School since the inaugural lecture of the series, and has either shared the role or has been the master of ceremony on these occasions. Sonia has given yeoman service to the constituency of St. Andrew. Her contribution to the St. Andrew branch of the Barbados Labour Party for almost 25 years has been invaluable, not only as a member of the branch, but on many occasions as a part of the executive team. Over the years, she has held several posts within the branch, including second vice president, and has guided and mentored many of the newer members of the branch, including the current representative. She continues to contribute meticulously and tirelessly to the team of the Logistics Committee of the Conference Arrangements Committee, ensuring the success of consecutive BLP conferences. She operates efficiently within this role and is very hands-on in her approach to ensuring all required tasks are completed to her very high standard. Her efforts are being recognized today for her contribution to firstly the St. Andrew branch and more important to the Barbados Labour Party. To Sonia, we salute you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sonia, Comrade Sonia King, Ermi Bourne Award winner, our awardee tonight. And thank you so much, MP Springer. I now invite Mrs. Sabrina Wood, daughter of the late Owen Arthur, to present the Owen Arthur Award. That awardee tonight, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Alika Rouse. The Owen Arthur Award, Miss Alika Rouse, presented by the late Owen Seymour Arthur's daughter, Mrs. Sabrina Wood. Congratulations to you, Alika. We now move to the Youth Awards. It gives me pleasure to invite the General Secretary of the party, Comrade Senator Dr. the Most Honorable Jerome Walcott, to present the next 14 awards.
Youth Award, Shane Archer, the son of retiring MP Glenn Clark. Comrade Shane came.
All right, of course I'm gonna help them again. That's not a problem at all. That's why we're here. And we're gonna do these youth awards. Please welcome our first awardee, Comrade Khalil Kofdewala. Our next awardee, Ryan Braffett. Youth Award goes to Ashley Lashley. Is Ashley here? Not seeing Ashley. We move on to our sports awards. Mr. Kevin Wickham, no? The script here that I have doesn't have on that name, so I'm just going to follow here. Thank you so much for correcting me, though. Miss Maria Marshall, Youth Award. Now we move on to our sports awards. Maria's still in the spotlight, so let her steal it. That is not a problem at all. All the cameras are on Maria. Special moment having a chat with two great leaders of the Caribbean. Our sports awards, our first awardee, Mr. Kevin Wickham. Kevin is not here, and receiving for Kevin. Mr. Zane Maloney. You know that Zane is getting ready for another Grand Prix. That's his grandmother, thank you. Miss Shade Williams, President of the Athletic Association. Miss Catherine Jordan accepting on her behalf. Mr. Jonathan Jones. I believe, Miss Jordan, you may have to come and collect Jonathan's award as well. Oh, somebody's here for Jonathan? Okay, fantastic. Outstanding athletes who would have done well for the 2022 athletic season. Congratulations to Jonathan. Our next sports awardee, Miss Amber Joseph. Next awardee, Miss Erin Pinder. Erin's award is being collected by her mom. We move on now to our cultural awards. Our first awardee, Miss Shante Tay Aline Clark, Junior Monarch of Barbados. Miss Sheena Rose. Sheena's excited. Sheena, I believe, is a gospel singer as well. Our next awardee, the Calypso King of Barbados, Daquan Aline. Juan. Tent manager from House of Soca, Sharon, collecting on behalf of Juan. And I'm not too sure if our distinguished guest speaker has ever tasted Mauby before, but I will ask him, you like Mauby? Ladies and gentlemen, the Road March champion of Barbados, Mr. Bruce Lee Almighty. Dr. Gonzalez, I'm just making sport with you. I know you know Mauby, but that's the Mauby King there. Thank you so much, General Secretary, Comrade Senator Dr. the Most Honorable Jerome Walcott. We move on to some very special awards now. And I would like to invite our political leader and party chairman, Comrade the Honorable Mia Amour Motley, SCMP, to present our next 3 awards. The Party Chairman's Award. The winner and awardee tonight, Comrade Victor Ames.
You're going to take it from me though, Victor. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to forgive me if I exercise. I see even Santia standing. You have to forgive me if I exercise the chairman's prerogative to speak. In a political party, as you heard from Comrade Ralph tonight, the commitment to the 7 unities is critical. This still young man, in both elections, 2018 and 2022, played an extraordinary role in the delivery of St. Michael and Southern St. Michael for this party. And it's not about having favorites, but you have to recognize talent and hard work when it comes. And there is no time of day or night. And I'm serious. The General Secretary will tell you that. Marcia is there smiling from ear to ear. Santia jumped up as soon as he was getting it. And Kirk Humphrey can't hold himself back. And I can go on, Sandra Husbands. Kirk, this man was down by you too. St. George North, when we had the by-election, this man was out there too. And I just want to say that in the same way we recognize people on the executive and what they do and vote for them, or in cabinet or MPs, this party could not be what it is without members of the rank and file. And in Victor, we have found an exemplar. An exemplar. And I ask all of us, therefore, tonight to stand and recognize this man for where we are tonight. Thank you. Well done.
Congratulations to you, Victor.
Well, I'm so happy tonight. And let me tell you, I don't even know what to say, but I can say thanks to the Barbados Labour Party. And you see this that I have in my hand tonight. I say thank Mia Amour Motley for recognizing me and my hard work. And I'm saying that this here in my hand is for the people that helped me get this here bring home. Thank you all. This is ours. This belongs to we.
That's the Party Chairman's Award, Comrade Victor Ames. Congratulations once again, sir. We move on now to the Milroy Reese Award. And the awardee tonight, Comrade Saitomia Woro.
You can breathe. Hold it and breathe. Hold it. I joined this party in 1988. And there are a number of people who I came and found. Asante once again is standing, as is Kurt, because they are from the Pine, as is she. Saitomia has distinguished herself not only in this Barbados Labour Party, but in the different other institutions, from the Union, NUPW to others. And wherever she has gone, she lives the principle that we encapsulated in our Charter of Barbados when we became a republic last year, as endorsed by Parliament. The principle of active citizenship. Duty beyond her family, her job, and her church. That is what she lives and breathes every day. And in the spirit of Milroy Reese, we say thank you, thank you, thank you. Of course. You know she wants out.
Good night. I just want to say a thank you. All I want to say is that I am a bona fide member of the Barbados Labour Party, and I will never, ever, I vow to leave the Barbados Labour Party. Wherever the Barbados Labour Party go, I go.
Congratulations again to you, Comrade Worrell. And our final award tonight, the Let me invite the President of the Senate. He's going to be making the introduction for this award. Please welcome President and Comrade Reginald Farley onto the stage, please, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Jamar the Star. Good evening, comrades. Prime Minister, Comrade Mayor Motley, political leader and chairman of this great party. Prime Minister, Comrade Rolf Gonzalez of the beautiful nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. General Secretary, members of the executive, awardees, Barbados Labour Party family, good night. I have a special job this evening, but I'm almost afraid to call it a job because for me it's such a great pleasure that I believe that I should really be making a large contribution to the party for allowing me to do this. I heard the treasurer making noise over there. But in all seriousness, comrades, this Grantley Adams Award is the highest award which the party confers on any of its members. It is so named after Right Excellent Grantley Herbert Adams, one of the founders of this great party, a national hero, a man called Moses by the people of his time, liberator of the oppressed, a visionary, and the father of our democracy. You will therefore understand that this party takes with seriousness the award of this distinction. For me, I have always been very close to this awardee. We were born just a few months apart in the same year. I was born in June, and this awardee was born in November, so I'm the senior. We went to cabinet in 1994, and we thought we were the youngest, but there was a little kid called Mayor Motley who was 4 years younger than us. But between the three of us, we were the youngest kids on the block, and we had a good time. And we served the country as ministers in 2008. But even after we decided not to continue as candidates in election, we continued to serve the party, and then we went away in 2018 to serve overseas. And then we came back. I came in 2020, that person came in 2021, and we are serving close to one another again. I believe that by now you're getting the feel for what I'm talking about. I describe that awardee as a champion for change, who has used the very powerful voice that Almighty God has given to that person to fight for the poor and the oppressed, to fight for women's rights, climate change, environmental matters, and so on. I believe that I should probably give you some idea of whom I'm talking about. The technical folks got ahead of me. But I'm, of course, speaking of her honor, Senator Henrietta Elizabeth Thompson, who is Deputy President of the Senate, but also Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary for Climate Change, Law of the Sea, and Small Island Developing States Matters. She does things that matters. But I say of Liz Thompson as we know her, I say of Liz that she has been one of the most formidable campaigners for the Barbados Labour Party for the last 30-odd years. Last 30-odd years. And it has been her powerful voice and her activism that has led not only to her victories, but the victories of many of us in here, including those of my generation and the new generation that has succeeded us. But champions do not start at the top. They start the training. And what has been her training camp? Her training camp has been born in the 1960s, seeing all the change that was happening around us, independence, the social, cultural, political, economic changes. But more directly, her aunt was Dame Ermintrude Ermeybourne, first woman elected. And we chose that location with Dame Ermey looking over us to see how her influence has helped to move to the next generation. But again, in her household, her father, a successful black businessman in the early days of the democratization of our economy, and her mother, who told of the struggles, some personal, others she had seen, of women and the working class, the discrimination, and the economic exploitation. And Liz made a determination that she had to be a champion for change. But of course, champions don't just have inspiration, they don't just have vision, but they need to train and prepare themselves. And she recognized the importance of politics, in effecting change in our small island developing economies and societies and emerging societies, the emerging Caribbean civilization that Comrade Ralph speaks so eloquently about. And she prepared herself. After her studies at the St. Michael's School and Queen's College, she went on to study law at the Cave Hill campus of the University of the West Indies and the Urbana Law School. But in addition to those qualifications in law, because she recognized that you needed to have a firm foundation of academic qualifications in order to make a difference in the places that mattered. And as she went on in life, she did an MBA with distinction from University of Liverpool. She did an LLM from the Robert Gordon University in energy policy and the environment. And this augmented her skills. And no surprise, therefore, that when we assumed office in 1994, health and environment was one of the first ministries that she had. But before that, to show her tenacity, a mere 4 years after being called to the bar in 1987, in 1991, she was the candidate for St. James South running against the powerful Keith Simmons. She, like Mia Motley, Ronald Toppin, and others, were not successful on the first toss, but they returned and in 1994 formed the core of a new and emergent Barbados Labour Party in support of ONAFA. And that administration, Owen was in the middle. He had some from Tom Adams' generation, Billy, David, Johnny. He had the new generation, Ronald and Mia, myself and Liz. And they all worked together. And this party has always been at its best when it has the best of its legacy, the best of its current circumstances, and it is preparing the future. And they can see that Mayor Amora Motley is doing that in the structure of her administration and the way that she has administered this party. Liz Thompson had important ministries, health and the environment, housing, and in fact, in terms of the environment, she was one of the first people that I heard day in, day out speak about climate change, speak about the environment. Back then it was well, not quite an oddity, but it wasn't mainstream. And I was so pleased to see that her outstanding work as a Minister of Environment for the government of Barbados gained her recognition, and in fact, she got a UNEP award as a champion of the environment. And as she transitioned out of competitive politics in Barbados after 2008, between 2010 and 12, she was in the United Nations as an Assistant Secretary General with special responsibility for the planning and execution of the Rio +20 conference. And after that, she remained within the UN system to also work as an advisor, including being a special advisor to the 68th President of the United Nations General Assembly. I give you these snippets to show the depth and the range of Liz Thompson. But we know her in the Huskins. We know her on the campaign trail. But it is such a wonderful tribute to this great party that we are able to have people who can think locally and act globally, who are able to function here in the trenches in her beloved St. James South and the rest of Barbados, but also able to make a fundamental difference in the climate change and the environment at the international level. Liz Thompson has done important consultancies for a number of countries around the world: Australia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Kitts, wherever. But in 2018, when this great party returned to office, we tapped into those talents once again. And in 2018, Liz Thompson returned to the service of Barbados from her international sojourn to be the ambassador to the United Nations, where she served from 2018 until 2021, when she returned to Barbados to be Deputy President of the Senate and to be the Ambassador Extraordinary Plenipotentiary with special responsibilities on behalf of the Prime Minister for climate change, law of the sea, and small island developing states. I say to you that this party owes a debt of gratitude to this fearless campaigner, this fighter for change, a politician who never backed down from a fight. She never necessarily picked one, but she never backed down from one. But even before Brooks the Almighty was singing "Tear the Bark Off You" in his Mobby song, Liz knew how to tear the bark off any political opponent. In all things, Liz has been that true and unrelenting and committed champion for change, who chose, she could have chosen to use her voice for anything, but she chose to be within this bosom of this Barbados Labour Party as a loyal, loyal supporter, and to fight on behalf of St. James South, to fight on behalf of Barbados, to fight on behalf of women, to fight on behalf of black people, to fight on behalf of climate sustainability when it was a fringe issue, to make it mainstream. And we, therefore, are pleased for all those reasons to salute this exceptional attorney at law, author, diplomat, and it could go on and on, Assistant General Secretary of the United Nations, but our own beloved Liz, Her Excellency, Her Honor, Senator Henrietta Elizabeth Liz Thompson, who is the recipient of the 2022 Grantley Herbert Adams Award. Liz, and
my dear, it gives me pleasure to give you this. And the fact that you're the first of our third generation of BLP8s to have the Grantley Adams Award gives me great pleasure.
Thank you so much, Prime Minister. I didn't think I would cry. I grew up in a Labour Party family. I saw my father and my mother canvass for the Labour Party. I knew my aunt had been a Labour Party MP. My mother talked to me about what it was like to grow up in absolute poverty in Barbados. and for Grantley Adams and his policies to change her life and give her opportunity. But I became a Barbados Labour Party supporter when I did the research myself and satisfied my own search for knowledge and truth that the Barbados Labour Party was the political organization which had done the most to transform the lives of poor working class Black people, to make people move into the middle class and keep them in the middle class. And I consciously decided that I wanted to be a part of that. I first voted in the 1981 election for George Payne. Life is so full of interesting ironies. You and I ran together in the 1991 election. I would not have known, could not have imagined when I put my vote for George Payne in 81 that I would have been a candidate in 91. And Reggie, we went into cabinet, Prime Minister, you and I, in 94, two young girls, no idea of what was ahead of us. And Reggie came. So I am so happy now as to serve you, Prime Minister, to serve in the Senate with Reggie. I have known no other political loyalty. And I believe, Prime Minister, that we are building a Barbados for the future, for the next generation. And I will speak to that in the comments when I call in. But thank you so much for recognizing that I have contributed to this party that I love, that I serve, and you, Prime Minister, and this country that has given me so much. And I hope to be able to continue sharing and giving something in service. But thank you, this means a tremendous amount to me, and it will to my family. And I'm sorry that my parents.
Comrades, I believe if you shout loud enough, if we get enough applause, I believe Liz is currently in the UK, definitely family, her eldest sister, and she's taking care of that essential matter. And of course, our hearts go out to her. But if you give a loud enough round of applause, I suspect Liz can hear you. We need her to hear you. Could I get a loud round of applause, please? There you go, Liz.
Good morning. Good morning to the Barbados Labour Party family. It's 2:35 in the morning in London, a cold morning. And yes, Reggie, we are mourning my sister, her funeral, my older sister. Some of you may know Edwin Joseph. And her funeral is on Monday. My younger sister, Pat, and I are here with the family. It has been an emotional day because she literally dropped down dead in the middle of a conversation after looking at some photographs that I sent her. It's one of these stories that if somebody wrote it, you would say, no, that doesn't happen. It's too far-fetched. But thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for this award from this party that I've served in this country that has become my country, because many of you know that I was not born in Barbados. I begin with thank yous, Prime Minister. I want to thank you and those responsible for this award for recognizing my contribution to the Labour Party over the years. Sometimes it has come at great pain and great personal sacrifice, but I have never, ever failed to give of my best when the party has called on me. I want to thank Owen Arthur for first appointing me to a cabinet back in 1994 and recognizing my ability. But before him, to Sir Richard, to Dame Patricia, and Sir Louis, all of whom guided and mentored me and supported me in the difficult years when I was a teenager not doing well in school. And that is why when we see some of our teenagers not doing well, we must not write them off. We have to encourage them. I want to thank, most of all, the people of St. James South, without whom I would not have risen in the way that I have, neither nationally nor internationally. to all the people in that constituency and those communities that make it up who supported me, who gave me strength and succor even when I was not in the cabinet, who continued to believe that there was political possibility and policy contribution for me to make. I want to thank all of you and the wider family of the Labour Party, Prime Ministers Motley and Gonzalez. Good evening to you, to the conference chair and the party executive, to all this evening's awardees. Congratulations on your well-deserved awards, members of the party friends. I'm going to speak for a few minutes, and I thank you for giving me some time on air on what has been a lovely night. I have been watching it, even though, as I said, it's 2:35 in the morning here. I have been thinking about where we are as a party and as a government, and it has struck me that well-known verse from Ecclesiastes, that unto everything there is a time, and unto everything there is a season. And Prime Minister, I firmly believe that we have the right leadership in the Barbados Labour Party, that we are on the right ship, the ship of the Barbados Labour Party, that you have the right crew and team, that we are going in the right direction, but that we need all of us to get together in the engine room and do the work that is required to propel the ship forward, so that we stop looking at each other, we stop criticizing each other, we stop looking at things to pick at and just do the work. The ship of state requires all hands to be on deck. It requires all of us to contribute. It requires all of us to give of our best. And I believe, Prime Minister, that we are in a season of building. Nation states go through seasons. People go through seasons in their lives. Political parties go through seasons. For this party and for our nation, this is the season of building. And why do I say that? I say that because in a post-COVID, I'm speaking to a post-COVID era, because even though we are still in the throes of it, we have to start to craft and vision and construct the future that the country wants and the future that our people deserve. We are in the era of a republic. We have to craft what will be the foundation of the new republic. Yes, Barbados has a foundation, but these are the early days when we are recreating our image and redefining our building and redetermining our direction. And therefore, we are in the season of building. And what are we building? In my view, we are building a republic, a new nation. We are building a new people, the people who will serve that republic, the people who will define that republic, the people who will become that republic, and the people who will cause that republic to be recognized worldwide as the idea of Barbados, the symbol of excellence. Prime Minister Gonzalez spoke exceptionally well, as he always does. We are building a Caribbean civilization, a civilization in which small island developing states like our own will be known for their leadership, for their excellence, for their exceptionalism, and for their ability to be role models for other nation states, whether it is on peace and governance, whether it is how you deal with crises like COVID that are unprecedented, whether it is how you craft out a space so that all of your citizens can live in dignity. We are building a new model. And this Labour Party has been chosen at this time by the people, by an overwhelming majority, because the people of Barbados have confidence that this Labour Party This Labour Party born of values, core considerations, core principles that are as relevant today as when they were first evolved historically and when Grantley Adams enunciated them for a people in oppression and poverty and transformed the nation. They are as relevant as when Tom Adams redefined our society and economy and built a new Barbados by constructing institutions like a central bank that we never had before, by giving us the kind of infrastructure. And now, Prime Minister, you are called on to build resilience. People say when the things get tough, the road gets tough, the tough get going. Really, that is what resilience is about. It is about building a level of toughness that when you face the storms, that you are confident that your ship can sail through them and land safely on the other side. And you are called, Prime Minister, to bring a vision and style of leadership for a new republic and a new Barbados. And I believe that you have the capacity and the favor of God to get it done. But it requires something of us as the team. It requires something of us as the crew. You are building a nation where our seniors can feel valued and appreciated, where our young people will see their future as being part of the nation building that Barbados needs. You must build a nation in which our civil service buys into the vision and understands that they too are part of the implementation of a vision, part of the implementation of policies and programs for this new Barbados and for the people of Barbados. Our civil service must become part of that symbol of excellence that Barbados is defined for in some ways, but really now has to dig deep to once again become a bright, shining symbol. We have to build a level of management that causes us to do the routine wells, the routine things well, the road repairs, the QEH, the irritants that people complain about, so that they are removed and our country can focus on the macro issues, so that we can move forward on the big ticket items, and so that we understand and everybody believes that they are being prioritized and they are being put first. Prime Minister, I believe that this era that we are in calls on us to build new relationships and stronger relationships. We saw during COVID that we had to prioritize, we had to do what was important, we had to do what mattered, we had to become strategic. And most of all, we had to hold on to each other, because more than anything else, we started to realize that we are in this together. And so, as a Caribbean civilization, as people of small island developing states and people of Barbados, it is imperative that we build stronger relationships with each other, relationships within communities, relationships within workplaces, relationships within our family structures, and relationships within institutions. And when we have good relationships, when we believe in and love and support one another, it will become much more difficult for us to kill each other, because we will have respect and value for the life of those whom we love and those with whom we are in relationship. And finally, Prime Minister, I believe that this is an era in which governments and your government is being called on to build trust. All over the world, there is a deficit in trust of formal institutions, but particularly of politicians, political parties, and governments. If you want people to work with you, if you want people to build relationships with you, if you want people to help you build a nation in this new era of the Republican status, then they have to trust you. They have to trust your team, and that trust has to be built person by person, policy by policy, program by program. It is part of the reason this deficit of trust in formal institutions and in government that people have turned to social media, where they are being misled by all kinds of misinformation and disinformation, where people will tell you, well, you don't need to see the doctor, you don't need to get the vaccine. Get some yard grass, but make sure the dog has urinated on it first. And people will buy into that. People with absolutely no qualifications and no certification and no particular skill, pretending to be what they're not, giving them bogus advice. Prime Minister, build trust with the nation. And when you build that trust, you and your team, then you can be assured that another 30-0 is going to be Barbados Labour Party's future. I am grateful, Prime Minister, to have served with you at many levels. I thank the party and you for this award. I thank all of those who have supported me and who have mentored and guided me and helped to bring me here. And I hope that I can also help to mentor and guide some of the younger members of the Barbados Labour Party. Most of all, Prime Minister, in this season of building, let us together build the best Barbados that we can. And I'm so grateful to be part of the team which is attempting to do that. And I commit to you as Prime Minister, to the Barbados Labour Party, but most of all to the people of Barbados, to continue to give my skill, my training, my abilities, and all that I have, as long as God gives me strength. May God bless you all. May He bless your service. May God bless the Barbados Labour Party and all of the people of Barbados. Good night and God bless.
Not going to put the podium back in place, but congratulations once again to Senator Thompson for winning the award this year, receiving the award, I should say. I'm going to invite you to watch the screen again because we have another special young lady who is going to be saying hello to us, and she is a Commonwealth gold medal champion. She's also a bronze medalist at the World Championships, and I'm really hoping once she stays fit, in a year and a half, basically, in Paris, she's going to be not just an Olympic medalist, but an Olympic gold medal champion for Barbados. Sade, is Sade here? If we can have Sade on the screen, I know she wants to say hello to us. Hi, Sade. Are you hearing us, Sade? Just want to make sure your mic on your end is not muted. We're not hearing you, so just want to make sure everything, is it muted?
Sorry, I'm weird.
Yes, Sade, we're hearing you. Go right ahead.
Good night, everyone. I'm very grateful and truly honored to be awarded. I'm not sure what is the name of the award. I do apologize for being unable to accept this award in person, but I want to say thank you to our biggest party and Madam Prime Minister for the amazing hard work and contribution to the strategy. Thank you.
Okay, well, where are you right now, though, Sade, if you're hearing me? Let the rest of the Barbados Labour Party family know where you are.
I am in Trinidad.
In Trinidad, okay, not a problem at all. Well, the award you won was a sports award compliments of the Barbados Labour Party as they're celebrating their 83rd annual conference, and you were one of the awardees for the Sports Award. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And we're wishing you all the rest of the best for the season and looking forward to seeing you early o'clock in the new upcoming season in January. Thank you. Comrades, we have 2 more speeches and we also have some entertainment for you. And for me, when you hear the word Amor, the Greek goddess of love, every time I come to a Barbados Labour Party event, I feel that love. And for me, back in 2008, our next speaker brought me into the family, said that I have a talent, and you know what? Just spread your wings. And that was some 14 years ago. And I'm very grateful to her for her kind words. And it gives me a great pleasure and honor, ladies and gentlemen, to deliver the closing remarks. The Prime Minister of Barbados and political leader of the Barbados Labour Party. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mia Amor Motley, SC MP.
Thank you very much. My dear brother, Comrade Ralph, Prime Minister of the great country of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, members of the executive of the Barbados Labour Party, members of cabinet, members of parliament, above all else, our distinguished awardees tonight, and of course, everyone else, members of this great, great party. My speech is tomorrow, so don't get worried. My role tonight is to say thank you to so many. I just reflected and said to Reggie, this is what the doctor ordered. Tonight has been an exceptional night. And it has been an exceptional night because this is the first time we've come together as a family in 2 years. And since last we met, yes, we had 2 elections. A by-election in the parish of St. George North to replace our distinguished brother who is with us tonight, our High Commissioner to Canada, Glenn Clark, which saw the election of Comrade Tony Moore to the Parliament and brought back to the Barbados Labour Party. Thank you. Brought back to the Barbados Labour Party a relationship that had been broken for decades, and which, if you understand the purpose and the sense of Comrade Ralph's speech tonight and Comrade Liz's speech, was a very, very, very important reunification for this party, because we are Labour by name and Labour by nature. We had then the general election, and without all of you, we could not be where we are today. Some question the wisdom of the timing. I can only give thanks to the gods and to God to recognize the fact that we needed to be able to engage with the people of this country to be able to get that mandate. But we thought we were taking fresh guard then, only to find out that other things would come about during the course of this year. And I thank Comrade Ralph, with his love of cricket, for giving you the explanation for our theme tonight, as only he can do. And I say to you, sir, that you are truly the elder statesman of this Caribbean civilization. And when we thought of who we would ask to speak to this party, as we asked the party to get itself back up again and to rub off all the tiredness of the COVID comatose state that was imposed upon us, to remind us of the foundational elements of why we are a political institution that calls itself a party, to reinforce in us the 7 unities. And as I reminded myself just now in talking to Comrade Ralph, that which Billy Miller taught me as a young member of this party in 1988, that she learned from Tom Adams. And I share it tonight with you because it is no sense going to the grave. It must live in this party as wisdom, just as Comrade Ralph's 7 unities shall live as guidance and education for our members. And what was that? That there are essentially 3 levels to political participation. Most people are good at 1. Some people are good at 2. And very few people are good at all 3. And what were those 3 levels that Tom identified? 1, constituency politics, on-the-ground politics. Most people can do that and do that well. But that alone would just have an amorphous body of people going in different directions if we didn't have the guidance of the party executive and the strength of that. And not many people necessarily want to get involved in the hurly-burly of executive management and leadership. And then, of course, there is national politics, national policy, service at the national level, while either as members of parliament, members of cabinet, board chairman, board members, all of those things. And some people serve there and there alone. And some people serve on the ground and the ground alone. And those who tend to serve in the executive at least serve in 2, but very few 3. I remind us of these things because, as you heard Liz repeat, and as I said in my budget in March this year, this is a season to build. This is a season to plant. And at most, we have to recognize that we live in a very turbulent world. And as I shall speak more to it tomorrow, I simply say to you tonight, all who have spoken, Kerry, you opened with a brilliant innings. And we thank you, as usual, for that opening innings. Comrade Ralph, you did not disappoint in any respect. And I suspect that your speech will come to be used not just by the members of this Barbados Labour Party, but by all political parties in this Caribbean, because what you spoke about was timeless in terms of the principles upon which we build, but equally reminding us also of the challenges we face. And I thank you for addressing the issue of Haiti, because perhaps more than any other issue that is facing us in this region today, it gives our hearts great, great, great pain, because this country continues to be penalized for the simple act of declaring independence as black people centuries ago. The reality is that, as you said, we will stand in solidarity with the people of Haiti, but we will also make sure that first and foremost, that there's a stable environment. But those who constitute the government must know and will always be reminded that they stand there only at the mercy of the people who they represent. And therefore, the conversations we expect to take place must be within Haiti, the principles of non-interference fully respected. But above all else, we simply say, now is the time for the burden of oppression and the burden of insecurity to be lifted off of the backs of the people of Haiti. I want to thank Comrade K. You could not have summarized Comrade Ralph's speech any better. And you did it with class and dignity. And with a little sass. And then, of course, the awardees. Tonight is your night. And many of you have gone along just giving and giving and giving to this party. And it is just and right that the party pauses and says thank you to each of you. Those from within the party, but then equally those who have defined excellence as young people, as sporting people, as cultural icons and artists. You have helped to build this nation. And through your efforts, you continue to give inspiration to those who watch, to let others know that a pathway is possible to attain excellence and to be able also, in many instances, to make a living from things that people used to consider as things you do for a hobby. But when I watch Sade, when I watch Bruce, when I see Kwan coming up, and you know, your continued representation of Barbados internationally with the arts and the exhibitions which you have done have brought pride and distinction to this nation. We thank you. We only wish that your father was here to see this moment, but we know he's watching down from heaven. And then, of course, to the recipients and the special awardees, I had the ability to speak to Victor and Saitomia. And to Liz, you were at your best tonight, as Billy Miller would say. You were at your best. And it was as if you were in the room with us yesterday. And those who were in the room with us yesterday know exactly what I mean. I trust and pray that the message will be received by all who have listened, not just those tonight, but all who want to know and to believe that this country requires us now more than ever to build a level of toughness and resilience in a difficult world, in a difficult circumstances. But you know what? The difficulties we face pale in comparison to what our grandparents and our great-grandparents and our great-grandparents went through. And they had less, and they did it to allow us to be here. Let us not betray that legacy, and let us ensure that we can move to the next level. And we know there'll be challenges, and we know there'll be voices. You heard Comrade Ralph say tonight that when the criticism comes, it just makes him even more determined and sharper to achieve. And you know the road that I have walked, because regrettably or whatever, I have done it in the face and in the presence of the Barbadian people. We will not, Ralph, as you said, be perfect, but we will give of our best each and every day. And hopefully that best will be sufficient to create the best Barbados possible, as you heard Liz say. Thank you, good night, and God bless. And may you come out in your numbers tomorrow again, because this is our party, our conference, our Queen's Park. Take care, thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Prime Minister and political leader of the Barbados Labour Party. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to invite to you a two-time Junior Monarch of Barbados. She won the title, her first title, last year in 2021, and she came out again this year and is still the Junior Monarch of Barbados, and she's going to be performing a song for you entitled Skyfall. Please make some noise and welcome the beautiful Shantae Tay Aline.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Ooh, yeah, yeah. This is the end. Hold your breath and count to 10. Feel the earth move and then hear my heart burst again. For this is the end. I've drowned and drowned this moment. So overdue, I owe them. Swept away, I'm stolen. So let the sky fall when it crumbles. We will stand tall and face it all together. Let the sky fall when it crumbles. We will stand tall and face it all together at skyfall. At skyfall. And skyfall is where we start. 1,000 miles and poles apart, where worlds collide and days are dark. You may have my number, you can take my name, but you never have my heart. Let the sky fall when it crumbles. We will stand tall and face it all together. Let the sky fall when it crumbles. We will stand tall and face it all as sky fall. Yeah, at sky fall. Oh yeah, we'll let the sky fall when it crumbles. We will stand tall. Where you go, I go. What do you see? I see. I know I'll never be me without the security of your loving arms, keeping me from harm. Put your hand in my hand and we'll stand. So let the sky fall. Yeah, we will stand tall. Let the sky fall when it crumbles. We will stand tall and face it all together. Let the sky, so let the sky fall. Yeah, we will stand tall at sky fall. At sky fall. Thank you.
Only 15 years old. Ladies and gentlemen, the junior... Yes, the junior monarch of Barbados, Shantae Tay Aline. So... 1, 2. All right, so just want to make sure, if you haven't, make sure this mic is good. All right. Yeah, all right. So, I'm so proud to be Bajan, especially when we have that kind of talent. And I keep telling everyone that not just the artists, we have the best engineers, musicians, very, very, very talented Bajan artists and musicians. Ladies and gentlemen, this year, we had Crop Over. It really was an amazing Crop Over, and we're looking forward to the 2023 season of Crop Over. The dates have already been launched, and have already been announced, sorry, and we are ready. Are you guys ready now, though? You guys like Mobby? No, that you don't sound as though you like Mobby. Y'all like Mobby or not? Because, as you know, the Road March champion, extremely proud of him. He is really and truly a product of St. Michael. I'm not sure the correct constituency. You don't want to get it? Oh, thank you for correcting me, Marcia. There's South Central. And he has really been doing well, and he became the Road March champion this year. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise if you like Mobby, and welcome Bruce Lee Almighty!
Okay. It's Bruce Lee Almighty. Okay. You like Mobby? Sweet and dandy. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Let me introduce myself properly first. My name is Bruce, but call me Bruce Lee Almighty for sure, and I gotta get it. Say, okay. Hey, 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 hey. Secondly, you all are sitting down. You can't sit down when I'm singing Mobby. So are you all gonna get up? DJ, can I get that song again? Okay. Yeah. Get up. Get up. Get up. Okay. You like Mobby? Sweet and dandy. Okay. I can tear the bar off for you. You best friend can get peace too. You like Mobby? You like Mobby? I can tear the bar off for you. You best friend can get peace too. You like Mobby? You like Mobby? I can tear the bar off for you. She get wool, I get wool too. You back it up and tell yourself that I saw. Do not make me call. She back it up, I take it down. She put me in a lock, I just ship on the ground. Rest assured by the end of the night, I can win a tackling, she back like Bandai. I can tear the bar off for you. You best friend can get peace too. You like Mobby? You like Mobby? I can tear the bar off for you. You best friend can get peace too. You like Mobby? You like Mobby? Around two, she back up. I got all she back half done up. She tell me she can handle it, and even the best friend mash up. Sugar, spice, sweet and dandy. And let me introduce you to my candy. Ring she meet she running. Don't like us, baby, I come in. I can tear the bar off for you. You best friend can get peace too. You like Mobby? You like Mobby? I can tear the bar off for you. You best friend can get peace too. You like Mobby? You like Mobby? I can tear the back off of you. She get wool, I get wool too. You back it up and tell yourself that I saw. Do not make me call. She back it up, I take it down. She put me in a lock, I just ship on the ground. Rest assured by the end of the night, I can ring a tackling, she back the band. I can tear the back off for you. You best friend can get peace too. You like Mobby? You like Mobby? I can tear the bar off for you. You best friend can get peace too. You like Mobby? You like Mobby? Thank you very much, everybody. Okay.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our first day of our annual conference. I want to thank you guys so much, and I'm going to encourage you to get to your respectable places and home safely. You got after party, Pop? Where's the after party? All right. All right, so in the car park, I've been made to understand you don't have to go anywhere as yet. There's an after party, and I know you guys are going to be mingling. As the Prime Minister said, this is the first time we've had the opportunity since COVID to really come together. So, guys, as I said, after party, and after the after party, do get to your home safely. Thank you so much, and good night. Thank you.
We coming to quench with thirst. We don't have no time to rehearse. We ready to get on board, get on board. Look how we walking up like 2 years